I was talking long before I fell apart. Just not with words anybody listened to, and nobody heard me until I broke. I started disappearing slowly, years before anybody knew. A little less laughter every season, a little less of the man they knew. I stopped calling friends on weekends, stopped showing up the way I used to do. Started carrying storms inside me that nobody ever saw move through. I was waving red flags in silence, hoping somebody might see, but people only noticed the version of me I pretended to be. So I kept saying I'm alright, like everybody expected me to say, while pieces of me kept falling off a little more every day. I worked longer hours than necessary, stayed busy to avoid my mind, because when everything got quiet, the darkness was easy to find. I buried pain beneath responsibility, covered hurt beneath a smile, convinced myself that if I kept moving, I'd outrun it for a while. But grief has a long memory, and loneliness never sleeps, and eventually every wound you've hidden starts cutting far too deep. Still nobody asked the hard questions, nobody looked beneath the skin. They just saw a man surviving, not the war he was living in. Sometimes people don't notice a heart slowly coming undone, until the cracks become impossible for anyone to ignore. Nobody heard me until I broke, until the walls finally fell, until years of silent suffering turned into a living hell. Nobody heard me until I broke, until the tears finally show. Funny how the world starts listening after you've carried too much load. Nobody heard me until I broke, and by then I was exhausted. The night it happened wasn't dramatic, no flashing lights, no big goodbye, just a man sitting in his driveway with too much weight inside. And for the first time in forever, I stopped pretending to be strong, stopped telling myself I'd fix it if I just held on a little longer. I cried harder than I ever had, for every year I'd swallowed pain, for every time I needed somebody, but hid it all away. And somewhere between the tears and silence, something unexpected happened too. The truth finally had a voice after years of being subdued. The next morning people noticed the hurt behind my eyes. Friends I hadn't heard from in years started reaching out and asking why. Part of me felt angry, wondering where they'd been before, why it took me completely breaking for anyone to knock on the door. But another part felt grateful, because healing finally began the moment I stopped acting invincible and admitted I couldn't stand. Maybe they didn't ignore me, maybe they just didn't know how much pain a person can carry without letting it show. The strongest cries for help aren't always spoken out loud. Sometimes they're hidden in silence, lost somewhere in the crowd. Nobody heard me until I broke, but they hear me now. And maybe that's enough to start learning a different route somehow. Nobody heard me until I broke, but I'm done hiding the scars, done carrying every burden alone. Beneath these southern stars, nobody heard me until I broke, and breaking might have saved me. For every soul who's barely holding on, for every heart that's tired and worn, you don't have to reach the breaking point before you deserve support. And if somebody seems different lately, don't just assume they're fine. Sometimes one honest conversation can change a life in time, because pain grows louder in silence, and loneliness grows in the dark. But understanding has a way of relighting a fading spark. Nobody heard me until I broke, but tonight I'm standing here, not because the pain disappeared, but because I faced the fear. Nobody heard me until I broke, and now I finally see that asking for help ain't weakness, it's reclaiming a piece of me. Nobody heard me until I broke, but I won't wait that long again. Nobody heard me until I broke, but maybe some things have to break open before the light can get in. And maybe that's where healing begins. But tonight I'm standing here, not because the pain disappeared, but because I faced the fear. Nobody heard me until I broke, and now I finally see that asking for help ain't weakness, it's reclaiming a piece of me. Nobody heard me until I broke, but I won't wait that long again. Nobody heard me until I broke, but maybe some things have to break open before the light can get in. And maybe that's where healing begins.